Hello everyone, this is the tutorial which I promised to create, and I will show you how to make a page from this mini album, how to put it together. I will give you the measurements and will also show you how to cut the pockets and the flaps using the dies which I used for creating this album. So let's just quickly look how the page is built. It's a pocket page. It doesn't have currently a photo mat inside, but you can add one if you want to. I will mention what should be the size of it later. It also has this flap. Here is a place for the picture to be placed in this slots here on the frame itself, and on the back side of the page there is a pocket with a journaling tag or additional place for pictures that you want to put there. So to begin with, you will need a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock, and I on purpose want you to see how exactly the pages will be cut from that 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. Sometimes I don't succeed to do that, but I really try while designing a page of the album to use the to have the least amount of paper scraps. So if you are looking at this page, you can see that it's a 12 by 12 sheet. So you will cut it in 5 inches first and 5 more inches. This piece you will put aside, you will not use that, and all the 4 pieces that you have here you will use for building the page. So let's look at the sizes of those pieces. This one is 5 inches by 7 3/4, and you will create 2 score lines on the long side of this paper piece at 3 8/8 of an inch from this side, and then I just like to flip it like this and score another line also at 3 8/8 of an inch. Okay, and you will put a score tape here and here, and you will put this piece away for now. Let's look at the other pieces that we have here. So this one is 5 by 7, plain, no score lines, nothing, just as it is. Now you have 2 additional pieces left. One is smaller, one is larger. So the one which is smaller is 5 inches by 4 1/4. Slightly more than 4 1/4, 4 3/8 of an inch as far as I can see that. And you will score at 3 8/8 of an inch on the short side of this paper piece. On the 4th paper piece, you will make a score line at 3 8/8 of an inch on the side which is 5 inches. Okay, and the whole piece is 5 by 5 inches, as a matter of fact. So these are the pieces that you will need for constructing the base of your page in a mini album. And now, okay, here we already added the score tape. This piece has no score lines, so we don't need to add any score tape to it. Now on these 2 pieces, you will also add the score tape on those tiny flaps which are intended for that, in the following way. Okay, like this. Pay attention that you don't overlap the score line and the score tape doesn't come very close to the score line. If you will use a 1/4 of an inch score tape, you can feel free applying it just in the middle of that space that you scored. Okay, so now let's put the page together. And in order to do that, you will need a bone folder. Okay, fold the tiny flaps in, burnish them really good. I'm using here the Craft color cardstock just for the sake of the tutorial, that you will be able to see better all the score lines, because on the white paper it is less seen. Okay, so this is what we do. Now let's attach this piece, which is 5 by 7/8 of an inch, to the flap with a score tape. And when you do that, once again, try not to overlap the folded edge of the piece, which is 5 by 7 3/4, like this. Now you can burnish. Okay, when you glue down the second part, pay attention that your page is straight, because sometimes even if you are using the scoreboard, it cannot be 100% precise. So just pay attention that here your lines are straight, and even if you will need to press with your hand and to keep the paper at the same place in order to burnish on the score lines, again, do that. Now I'm once again paying attention that here I have a straight line. I'm lifting this piece and I'm holding the whole piece with my left hand, removing the backing from the score tape, and now I glue down two pieces together. Okay, so as you can see, it's not lying completely flat, so you can just use your bone folder in order to add the necessary burnishing to this paper in order to make it flat and nice, like this. Okay, now let's move to these two guys here. One of them will be the flap, this one, and the second one will be used for creating pocket. So the larger one, as you already guessed, will be for the flap. But before gluing it down, we want to cut that decorative edge on the paper, like the edge that we have here. Okay, I will show you from the back side, because here it's not completely seen. So for creating this edge, I used the Spellbinders Bordurabilities die. I will show that to you. These are the 3 pieces that I used from the set, which is called, I printed it out so that you can see. This one is from Simon Says Stamp, and currently it's out of stock, but maybe you will be able to find it in someplace else. This is the code of the product, S5182. It's called Scalloped Borders 1. So these are the 3 dies that I used from this set in order to create the decorative edge on the flap here, and we are going to do that now. So first, okay, you will need to work with 2 of these dies. Flip them so that the cutting side is facing down. Okay, and align them like this. Now take a bit of, I'm using here the repositionable tape, or you can take washi tape, also works fine. And I cut just the tiny pieces in order to glue down, to connect the 2 dies together and to keep them together while cutting the paper with them. Okay, in the following manner, like this. Now you will take that piece of paper, and now I can eyeball it while positioning it in the middle. If you don't feel that you can eyeball it, use your scoreboard. Just put the piece of paper and find the middle of that paper, which will be let's see, something like this, right? It will be 2 inches and 5/8. So you will mark there that this is the middle. Okay, and now obviously this should be the middle of the die. So you will put it like this and make sure that it's kind of stuck in the at the top of the scoreboard. So now you can use another piece of repositionable tape in order to glue it down. Once again, guys, just a tiny piece, just to make sure that it's not moving while you cut it, okay, like this. But once again, you can do that by simple eyeballing, that's also fine. So now when you have all of these connected together, you will take your Big Shot or whatever die cutting machine you are using. You will put that on the cutting machine and pass it through. Okay, let's make sure that everything is cut out. I can see that here it's not cut out completely well, so I will be passing it through one more time. Like this. Okay, yeah, now it's better. Now I can take all the pieces away. Just let me put aside the machine. Okay, so remove that piece which holds the paper and the dies together, but don't remove those pieces which connect both of the dies together. Now let's remove the paper. Okay, this is what we have so far. Now each one of the flaps you will cut in the same way, like so. So just poke out all the paper pieces from your die and continue making another 5 flaps in the same way. So now let's cover these parts with paper, with the designer paper. For doing that, you will take, well, let's say here, pay attention that this piece will be glued down to the base page like this. So if you are using a directional paper, pay attention that, like here for example, the text will be in this way on the flap and not like this. Okay, so now if I want the text to be here, so I will be using the decorative edge die on this side of the page, like so. So here, actually, once again, you can eyeball it and place it something like this in the middle of the page, glue it down and roll through your die cutting machine, or you can once again find the middle of this paper piece and then take the scoreboard and boom, yeah, like so, and just pay attention that it's all the way meets the top of the scoreboard, your die I mean, and secure it with a piece of the repositionable tape. like so, and roll that through your die cutting machine. Oh, the paper piece should measure 4 inches by 4 7/8 if you are using this very die. If you are using another die, you will need to make your own measurements in order to see what should be the size of the paper. Okay, so once again, I'm rolling that through the die cutting machine. Like this. Remove the paper from the die. This is the edge that you get. And let's see. Well, it fits, but I think we can cut a little bit from here, and that's fine because these are some trimmings that you can do. I think we need to cut off something like 1/8 of an inch, like this. Yeah, now that works good. So the second paper piece should be the same, and the process of the cutting is also the same. So I will take this piece here, and well, it's not important what's the, now for example I want to eyeball it, so I'm just looking at those notches here, and I make sure that they are placed at the even spacing from the left and from the right side, something like this, and that I also have averagely the same spacing here from the top right corner till the die and from the left top corner till the die. Okay, so once again I can use the piece of that repositionable tape in order to keep the paper where I want, and I will roll it through the die cutting machine. Like this. This is the piece that I don't need, and I'm removing the paper, and it will be at this section of the flap. Okay, now you can once again see if you need to trim. I think you need to trim something like 1/8 of an inch, maybe slightly more than that. Let's see. Oh, almost 1/4. But once again, guys, I don't know what about you. I think it's better to trim 1/4 of an inch down than to lack that 1/4 of an inch on your page. Okay, so this is how it looks like. You glue down both of these pieces to your page. This is what I will do now. Let me take the unnecessary tools away. Alright, so now let's glue that down. Let's say I want this piece to be here on the front. Like this. Oop. I think something moved while I cut it because it's not completely aligned. I hope you don't have that same problem, because this piece was with the very same measurements, as you can see, and it sits perfect on the page. So I only think that really while I was cutting, I moved a little bit the cutting plate. So please forgive me for that. Okay, now I'm placing this piece on the page. Like this. Okay, now we are ready to place that, to glue it down to the base page. Before you do that, just trim a little bit the corners. Okay, now glue that piece down flush with the top edge of the page, like so. Burnish. Now you can take the paper piece for matting the page itself, and this one measures, let me tell you, 4 7/8 of an inch by 6 7/8 of an inch. This is the measurement. You will glue that down to your base page. Like this. Now you can see that seam that we had from the top flap is covered with the designer paper on this side. Okay, now as far as the second side goes, you will take first a piece of paper which is 4 7/8 of an inch by 4 1/2, and you will glue it down to the second side of the base page on top, like this. This is the first thing to do. Okay, now let's create the pocket. For that, we will use this second flap that we have left. Okay, and for cutting the edge of the pocket, I used 2 of these dies. They are also by Spellbinders, and these are the Bracket Borders 1 set. This is also the print screen from Simon Says Stamp. In order, I want you to see the code of the product and how it looks like. So once again, this is the printout. So you will do the same thing. I'm using now the die which looks like this. I'm positioning it, where is my tape? Positioning it on the flap and securing it with a piece of repositionable tape, just to make sure that it's not moving. I'm eyeballing it right now. Okay, I'm positioning it the way that the top edge of the die is exactly on the top edge of the cardstock, with no overlappings, like this. Okay, I hope you can see that. And I have the same spacing from the notch here to the edge of the cardstock on the right side, and the same spacing from the notch to the edge of the cardstock on the left side, as well as here from the top left and right corners. So let me cut that. Here we go. Okay, now for the cutting of the designer paper piece, which should be 4 inches by 4 7/8 right now. Maybe you will need to trim that down as well. I'm using the die from the same set, which looks like this. So I'm also taking a piece of tape and eyeballing where exactly I have to position it. Okay, like this, and cutting that out like so, trying out how it looks on the paper. Let's see. Here you see when I'm eyeballing it, it turns out even better when I'm measuring. Okay, so this is how it will be, and I see that I need to trim something like 1/4 of an inch from the straight side here. So let me do that. Let's measure now. Yeah, now everything is perfect, and we can glue that paper piece down to the flap. Now guys, of course, if you are distressing the edges, you will do that now before gluing everything down. Okay, so I want to glue the paper piece to the flap. Like so. Okay, and I will take my base page. Once again, I will cut the corners here. Remove the tape backing. Glue that down like so. I'll open it, burnish, and now I will take the glue and add just a little bit of glue here to the sides in order to create the pocket. Okay, now while the glue is drying here, let's look at the page. Now I want to show you for creating the frame, this frame, you will need a piece of cardstock of the color which matches the colors of your mini album, and the size of that paper piece should be 4 inches by 5 5/8 of an inch if you are using this Fiskars punch for creating the notches for your picture. And the paper piece is measuring 4 by 5 5/8 of an inch in order to hold the photo, which is 3.5 inches by 5 1/8. In centimeters, it's 9 by 13. Okay, so I on purpose already put the white paper piece inside so that you could see where exactly you can apply glue to this piece in order to glue it down on the page, and not to apply glue in the places where the corners of the future picture will be. So you will apply glue here and here, here and here. Okay, and also in the middle. So let me give me a second, I will do that. So as I told you, here, and you, if you are precise, apply a thin line of glue along the whole perimeter of this, along the whole perimeter of that paper piece. Now in the middle too, and center it on your page and glue it down like so. Okay, now as for the decorations of the flap, you will use the decorations of your own. I just want to show you this the die which I used for creating the frames for the cards here. It's the die by My Favorite Things. This is how the shape of the die looks like, and its name is this. It's called a Stitched Rounded Rectangle. It's the Stacks dies, and there are 6 pieces in the set. Okay, so you can see that I have these frames on each one of the pages. So in order to create the frames, oh, I forgot to cut out the card inside of this frame, because that piece is actually not necessary here on the frame, but it can be used as a journaling tag to be placed in the pocket of the back side of the page. Anyway, to create the frames, you will take 2 of the dies, and you will take a piece of paper. You will connect them together using the repositionable tape, just as we did with the board durabilities. And that in order to create the frames which are the same, 6 frames which are the same. Okay, so you will do this. You will connect them from this side and from this side. Just make sure that the spacing here between the dies is the same. Okay, now from this side too, and I think it's enough. So when you cut the frame out using your die cutting machine, let's do that. Okay, like this, and you cut it out. When you remove the paper, don't disconnect the 2 dies. Okay, just poke it out carefully and leave the 2 dies connected in the very same way. Doing that will allow you to get the 6 frames which are completely the same. Okay, so you can get even more of them if you want, for example, to create the frames which are thicker than 1 layer of cardstock. Let's say I want to, I don't know, create a shaker, or just to add a piece of acetate in between. So in order to do that, you will need to keep those 2 dies connected, and that way you can cut as many frames as you want. Okay, so you are just backing it up with some cardstock or designer paper that you are using for your project, and you glue that whole piece down to that flap and embellish the rest of it according to your liking. So anyway, I hope this was helpful, and that's the tutorial add-on that I promised you. If you have any questions, please stay in touch. I will be glad to answer any questions. Okay, see you guys soon. Bye bye.